Test them 1, 2.
All right. Good morning and welcome to another episode of Chat with a Cop. I am your host, Sergeant Medlin, and today we have a very special guest. We have an OG in the house, SRO Derek McCarter. What's going on, Derek? How are you today?
Hey, how's it going, Mike?
Doing pretty good, man. Thank you for coming on the show. I feel like a game show host today, you know? So, no, for real, guys, this is a very special guest we have today. He's been a police officer here in Garner his whole career for 26 years. So, we have a very special guest. He has been a school resource officer for how many total years now?
Been right around, around 13 years.
About 13. So basically half of his career has been spent in our schools, which is important, right? So let's talk a little bit about you first. Let's talk about Derek McCarter. What year did you start being a police officer?
I actually started here with Garner PD 1995. That's when I actually was hired in August of 1995.
And what made you want to become a police officer?
Well, all my life I've been working in the community, helping people. I used to work at a Marriott hotel, so it was kind of a connection of always getting to know people, doing things for them, helping them out. So it just kind of carried over to being a police officer.
All right, so public service.
Yes, sir.
Cool. And where are you from originally, Derek?
Originally from West Philadelphia.
West Philly.
Yes, sir.
All right, they got good steaks there.
Oh, awesome.
Good cheese
Steaks and hoagie.
So which one is it? Is it Pat's? Or is it, what's the other one called?
Geno's.
Geno's?
I like Pat's better.
Okay. I've never had either, but I heard they're both good.
Yeah, they're right, like within walking distance, not even a block away.
All right, so you started back in '95, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I was in middle school at that point, but we won't go there. So then you started at the police department and you started on patrol, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, how long did you work patrol before moving to do something else?
I worked the patrol division for 11 years. Then I applied for being a SRO.
And you're an SRO where?
At Garner Magna High School.
Okay, not South Garner High School. So we have two high schools now. So you're at what I call the OG high school, the original.
The original.
The original. Got it. So fun fact, guys, I too was an SRO, and I was there for a couple years, but me and Derek were together for a few short months, so I can contribute, the field training and teaching of being an SRO to this man right here beside me. He kind of taught me the ropes, and so then he left and he came back again because we needed somebody to come fill in, and he was like, man, sign me up, because this man loves it. So let's dive in deeper into SRO, right? So what is an SRO? If you had to describe school resource officer, how would you describe it?
School SRO is you're there to actually, you have your own little community in the school. Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure that everybody's safe. You want to try to build a good friendship with the administration, with the kids, letting students, letting them know that you are there for them if they need any help with anything. We have a lot of kids at the school that have some problems where parenting and things like that, and we're an extra resource for them to reach out to get them help if they need it with anything.
Mm-hmm. So we're there for, a multitude of things, right? We're there for school safety, first and foremost. So we got to have a safe learning environment for the students to learn in. And also, I think you just mentioned too, we're there to help mentor kids. I know when I was there with you, you build that relationship with the student and the staff for that matter. And they feel like, they got comfortable with you and they can come tell you anything, whereas they may not feel comfortable telling someone else because they know that you're going to tell them the truth, number one, and that you're going to help them in any way that you can. Mm-hmm. Now, in your 13 or so years of being a school resource officer, I'll put you on the spot here a little bit. Can you think of one time where you were like, man, that was worth it all right there?
Yes.
Okay. Let's tell the folks about that.
Actually, I want to say about 2 years ago, we were headed to the the range to do our qualifying shooting at the with the sheriff department range. While being inside after we were shooting, I had a young black male walk up to me and said, "Do you remember me?" And it was 50-50. I did remember him. He looked familiar, but once you get older, you know, your body starts changing. And he walked up to me and he said that I was a student at Garner High School when you was the school resource officer there, and you actually helped me and gave me the dedication and what I needed to know to be a police officer.
Wow.
And he actually thanked me for being there and helping him to become a police officer. So that really hit home in two ways. I was like, wow, I'm glad I was able to help somebody out.
Sure.
And the second part was, wow, I am getting old.
No, but that's awesome, though. That's so awesome. And I'm sure, you know, across this country, there are plenty of SROs who may not have the exact same story that you have, but very similar stories, right? I mean, when you spend that much time with people in one place and you start building those relationships, it's ultimately inevitable, right? Mm-hmm. That you're going to change their life in some way or another. Which is also why it's very important for us as police officers in general, but especially people in that position where you are in a position where you can mold, you know, or
Mm-hmm.
help mold young minds. It's important for us to, one, be a good role model at all times, right? Because,
Yes.
like you said, you don't know when you're going to run into them outside the school.
Yes.
So how you conduct yourself off of work or outside of work is very, very important. I know that not everyone, you know, wants to be a school resource officer, but I have said since I became a school resource officer that I feel like it would benefit every police officer
Mm-hmm.
to have that experience at least for some time in their career. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I think it helps out a lot when officers have to deal with young juveniles.
Mm-hmm.
You learn patience. I know from talking to the kids in the school that they have a lot of respect for me, and they will come up and tell me things where the officers who are working patrol, if they get to go into school and build some type of relationship with some of the kids, that it might carry over if they see them on the street, and they might be with somebody who say, "Man, don't talk to him, you know, we don't talk to the police," and the officer, the student or person can come back and say, "Hey, no, he's cool, man." So it actually helps a lot, definitely dealing with juveniles.
Absolutely. I can tell, just like you said, before I became an SRO, if I came in contact with a juvenile on the street, I would almost freeze because I just didn't know what to do, right? Because, you know, you're not taught much about juveniles when you're in the academy,
Yes.
at least when I went through, and I know when you went through it,
It's still
especially,
not.
you know. So that's kind of the fear of the unknown,
Yes.
right? But if you go to school, it'll get that fear out of you pretty quick.
Sure will.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Fairly recently, actually, I know there's been some controversy on, you know, sometimes I think people were wanting to take school resource officers out of the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they've referenced something called, or they've coined the school to prison pipeline. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Okay. In your own words, what do you, if you had to give a description of what you think the school to prison pipeline is, what would you say? Or what they think it is.
What they think it is, that we are there to arrest students, to put them in jail, and that way they can already start off their life or whatever with a criminal background, which is something that we do not want to do.
No.
I mean, there's multiple times where we let school handle situations. We basically don't want to get involved. I mean, we want to make sure we try to be there before the actual crime, fight, or larceny or anything that happens in the school. We want to be there before it happens or try to deter it.
Absolutely.
So it will not happen. Been plenty of times that I've had kids that were getting ready to fight, and because I had a relationship with them, I was able to bring one or both of them into my office and talk to them and actually calm them down to stop anything from happening. So
Right.
we're basically there, we're not there to arrest kids or charge kids. We're there to actually help them out. Like I tell the kids all the time, hey, I'm here to help you. It might be helping you get a job. It might be helping you maybe with some homework. it might be helping you do this or that, whatever it is, we're there to help them, to
sure.
make sure they succeed.
So let's go back a little bit and talk about that just for a quick second. So let's say we have an offense. Let's say we have a fight, right? Because kids fight. It is
Right.
what it is, right? And I know recently North Garner was on the news for it, and you know, and my reaction to that was it was a fight. Unfortunately, they happen, but they do happen. So if a kid fights in school, most of the time what we're going to do is we're going to document it. We're going to take a report, but we let administration
Right.
handle consequences.
Right.
I think it's important for people to know that just because a student, you know, gets into an altercation or maybe steals something that's, you know, not very valuable or anything, but we don't always charge them, do we?
No.
We would, a lot of times we'll let administration handle the consequences. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
What other things do we do to avoid formally charging students in the school?
We can also, you talking about like a referral programs? Yeah, we have referral programs where we can, if they get into an altercation or commit some type of crime, we have a referral program.
So like teen
Yeah,
court?
teen court, where we can refer them to teen court, where the kids will not have anything on their record, but it will have them go into like a court proceedings, and it will be judged amongst their own peers.
Correct.
So they can kind of get a feel of what will really happen when you get older, if you commit a crime or an offense. So that's one thing, and like you said, a lot of times we let the school handle it. You know, school say, well, we'll just handle it from here. You know, nobody's hurt, nobody's injured. Basically, it was almost just like a pusher match or whatever, and that's fine with us.
Yeah, because we all make mistakes.
All right.
And especially at a young age like that, and we all know, or most of us know, your brain's not 100% developed yet. You're not done growing. Your brain's not done developing, right? So the frontal, I'm not trying to get all scientific or psychological, but the part of the brain that, you know, contributes to decision making and stuff like that is not quite 100%. So we understand people are going to make mistakes. Right. And like you said, we're not there to, you know, charge them and get them a record before they get out into the real world. Some of the other things we do other than teen court, we have the Campbell Law School mediation, which basically that's just Campbell Law School students coming in and they have a mediation between the two students. A lot of times we use that when they have beef or they have an issue, when they're fighting each other.
Yes.
There's Alliance Behavioral, which is almost like it's basically like a probationary program where they put you on this program, you can't get in trouble for X amount of time, and if you do, then, you know, then you got to answer for it. So we do send kids to different referral programs. We divert way more than we actually charge.
Oh, yes.
And I came prepared because I know numbers. I like stats. That's my thing. I like statistics because, I mean, they're important. They show data. And so in 2020, for the whole town, now I'm not just talking about the schools, where most of these were in the schools, but these numbers are for the entire town of Garner. Now, 2020 was a little off year because it was COVID. People were kind of housed and whatever, but these are the numbers for 2020. There were 75 offenses committed by juveniles under the age of 18, because we know the raise the age was 18 now. So of those 75, only 14 were referred to juvenile court. And most of the time, or a lot of times when we have people or kids that are referred to court, it's because it's not their first offense.
Right.
And sometimes when we refer them to juvenile court, the juvenile court will then decide, we're not going to accept this.
Yep.
We're going to send it to a different program.
Yep.
So sorry, I got off track there. 75 total, 14 referred to juvenile court. So here we go with the other diversions though of the 75. 9 handled within the department. That means released to a parent or guardian. And then 35 were sent to diversion programs. So like we talked about. 2 teen court, 4 sent to mediation with the Campbell Law School. So, and then it says here most of the cases were handled by the SROs. So we divert, what, 3/4 or more of the cases that we get involved with when it comes to juveniles. In your opinion, what would happen if SROs were taken out of the schools?
There would be a lot of disruptions, no control. I can see just from being at the school now, a lot of students don't have respect for some administrators, where since officers have built a relationship with them, we can calm them down, or say, hey, well, you have to go home today. We can actually talk to them and mentor them, or even
Right.
take them in the office, close the door and talk to them where nobody else is around. That seems to calm a lot of the students down a lot. As far as, I think we're there just to deter anything that happens, as far as anything criminal, people coming on campus, not supposed to be there. We're like the safety link to make sure everybody's in the school is safe and nothing happens. Everybody come to school, get their education, and they'll be able to go home.
Yeah. Like you said, we're the liaison between the school and the police department and really the community. The SRO position is probably one of the most community-oriented positions that we, other than maybe the community liaison officer,
Yes.
that we have. So I've always been a big advocate of saying that it's easy to measure what happens, right?
Mhm.
It's easy to say, okay, in the month of July, we had this many crimes committed by this many ethnicities and races and sexes and everything. That's easy to measure.
Yes.
But what you cannot and you can never be able to measure is what doesn't happen.
Right.
Just from the school resource officer being on campus. Because the kids know. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Derek, but the kids know when you're there and when you're not.
Oh, yeah.
100%. And they act accordingly.
Yes.
I know when I'm not there at the school or wasn't there at the school, and I had to, like, let's say I was out for training and I came back the next day, they'd be like, man, they were off the chain yesterday. And I'm like, they knew I wasn't here. They knew they don't see your car.
Yeah, I was going to say
They
that's
don't
the
see
first thing
you
they look
walking
for.
around,
Yeah.
and they know
Yes.
we don't have a school resource officer here today.
That's
So let's
right.
act up a little bit.
There you go.
So,
Because we're walking around the hallways. When they are out, we are out.
exactly, as we should be.
Yeah.
As we should be. And another thing too that we can, and I know I did it a lot too, was you get a feel of how the day is going to go.
Yeah.
First thing in the morning.
Yes.
You know these kids, like we talked about. We spend all day with these kids, and we know their personalities.
Yep.
We know their routines, and when something's off, you just feel it.
You can feel the tension in the air.
You can. And you can kind of let the administration know, hey, just giving you a heads up, this is what I've seen, this is what I heard, this is what I feel.
Yep.
Maybe we should be on heightened awareness of what could go on. So, guys, we could talk about this all day long. We got a person here that says, thanks so much for the police department protecting our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ed. But I think we've talked about, basically what I want to talk about today. I just want to get the message out to people that, we are in the schools. We want to stay in the schools. We think it's a very important job, a very important role to have a school resource officer in the school. And what better person to bring in than the person who's got the most experience out of everybody. So, thanks for being here today, Derek.
Thank you.
Because you got to get back to your school.
Yeah, lunch starting soon.
See? But guys, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And obviously, if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'll go ahead and tell you now, I don't know the date yet, but next month when we have our next edition of Chat with a Cop, we have a very special guest. I know I say that every time, but they're all special. We have special people here. But I'm assuming everybody's seen Chief Joey Benz is retiring, and Captain Lori Smith has been named the interim chief by town council and town manager. So we will have interim chief Lori Smith on the show next week. So please tune in. I'm gonna grill her harder than anyone I've ever grilled. So. All right, guys, we'll take care, and we'll see you next month. We'll give you an announcement on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff to let you know when the date's going to be. Take care.